Hi everyone. My name is Yana, and I'm a Google logistics specialist. I handle delivering a business's target audience with the exact parameters needed. I scale online sales for businesses in different countries around the world using those same AI tools in Google Ads. And in today's video, we'll be breaking down a case from almost the end of August 2023 through to nearly March 10th. Well, I took the date as March 8th of a team project. Our niche, let's call it health products. I won't specify exactly which ones, for client confidentiality reasons. There are a lot of health products, and also beauty products, including those as well. And this is for the US market. So, Make America Great Again, the United States of America, that's the market we're talking about. I'll say right away that I'm not sure this is the perfect cost per conversion. Let me put it this way, so you can be sure that I'm not lying to you anywhere here. For example, I'll redo the conversion, so you can be sure that the purchase is really being tracked correctly and that the cost per conversion is also being displayed accurately. I'm showing you an honest case, just as it is. I'm telling you about the challenges we faced. And honestly, in this niche, you can't just get sales easily by brute force. Why? Did Siri turn on? I'll be honest, you just can't get sales here that easily. It won't work. In other words, you can't just barge in and grab your piece of the pie. And the problem isn't just with competitors who might be similar to you, but especially with the competitors we've actually encountered. We really felt that pressure. That's the pressure coming from the market. These are competitors like Amazon, which just blatantly took over our search results. Well, not our branded results, but the traffic we used to sell, let's say, during Black Friday. I'll show you everything honestly, just as it is, that we didn't take off on Black Friday, even though we also had discounts and sales. There is an audience that's ready to buy from us. I want to emphasize that there are niches where it's really tough, and where you can struggle. I'll show you that period of time when you're struggling, spinning your wheels, and you just can't manage to achieve proper, reasonable growth in the number of conversions. I'm proud of my team that, despite everything, we don't give up, that we're always coming up with new tests. We're constantly working on the structure. We constantly monitor the dynamics of auction statistics. We look at where we are doing well, what kind of traffic we are getting, whether it really converts for us or not. What our conversion rate is in broad traffic, and in more narrow brand model specific traffic. I'm glad that we developed a strategy to get around the big advertisers squeezing out traffic, and that after we started working on this strategy, we really saw significant growth. And I want to show that this growth result wasn't due to, for example, Black Friday or the sales on December 24th to 25th. Yes, there's February 14th, but excuse me. It's just the week of February 14th. Here you go. Yes, you can see, this is that week. On the 10th we had a peak. Even on the 3rd, well, the week from March 3rd to 9th, we had 103 sales. As far as I know, March 9th and March 8th aren't really big holidays that everyone celebrates in the States. So what I want to show is that this growth isn't just because we got lucky, or just because we launched at the right time, or happened to jump into some auction. It's actually the result of the team's hard work, of them trying and testing new things. Yeah, maybe she can't run these big tests with huge budgets, because we still want to keep the cost per conversion pretty low. Honestly, I'll say that the cost per conversion should be a bit lower. Honestly, I'm just being objective here. I'm not going to reveal profitability and all that here, because I've realized there are situations where, even just by looking at profitability, I can monitor auction stats and even figure out who's working where, so I won't be showing that. And besides, our main KPI is the cost per conversion. It should be a bit lower. I'm not saying it should be half as much. It's not like it's $7 here. We're very close to that, but still just a little lower. I think that would make things much better. As for the profitability KPI, we're basically meeting it. Of course, we'd like it to be higher, But because of all these tests we're running and our desire to catch up and get ahead after that period of stagnation we had, and considering all these promotional periods, like before February 14th, right? We'd also like to catch up on all of that. I'm showing it honestly, just as it is, with the cost per conversion, not that it's immediately amazing, and we're not getting 1,001 sales for $1. When we started working, our official start date was August 25th, give or take a few days for setup. This is roughly the period when we started getting involved. So, in reality, we started off with about 20 sales. Well, let's say 30, just to be fair, right? We started off with about 25, maybe 30 sales, and the CPA here was around $20. Yeah, that's actually pretty expensive. We tried all sorts of ways to bring it down, and here's where we ended up, roughly speaking. We managed to get it down to about 49. Well, on average, we were able to get about 40 to 45 sales, more or less consistently. Then we started trying to lower the cost per conversion. There were even times when we managed to bring it down to a pretty good number. For example, even during the Black Friday period, we managed to get the cost per conversion down to $11. But after working through all of this, we realized that the way we were scaling just wasn't working for us at all. And the key turning point was actually the Black Friday period, when we physically couldn't, given the limitations we had set for ourselves. Through our test campaigns, achieve the volume in terms of the number of these conversions. Why did that happen? Because, honestly, I'll say it objectively, a major advertiser just crushed us. This major advertiser isn't a secret. They're in a lot of niches. It's Amazon. At some point, they realized this was a very attractive opportunity. Moreover, this account has a history from 2023, when they were growing, and the cost per conversion was different. But I'm not going to show that whole situation, I'm showing our work. Back then, Amazon was just testing out this niche, and now they're going all in on it, and they're really taking a chunk of the sales. And we realized that with this work format we built, this structure we have, it's not just one, not two, not even 5 companies, it was a lot more than that. We just couldn't grow at all, meaning we were stuck in one place. On top of that, during Black Friday, we basically slept through it. And there was a chance the same thing could happen again around December 25th. You know, that Christmas sale period, when there are also discounts, and a high demand for products. And we realized that we could mess up another promotion just the same way. And so, we developed a new version of the strategy, of course, based on the strategies we had already tested. But remember, as I always say on my YouTube channel, every advertising account has its own unique touch, like a fingerprint. Why? Because, in this particular account, we're scaling up using AI-driven campaigns, Performance Max or PMax. And, whether unfortunately or fortunately, it operates based on your own analytics, including the behavior of your customers before making a purchase. Using the analytics you've already collected. And this gives your account that unique edge, and of course, understanding this whole story and hypothesis, we started implementing additional tests. These extra TE tests allowed us to reach 67 sales during this sales period. That was, as of December 16th. Well, what is December like? Right, that was the 16th. By around December 23rd, or maybe the 22nd, then the 23rd, and by the 25th, we reached 74. Here you go, February 14th. February 14th is exactly when you look, that's the 10th week, and here's February 17th. Look, $111.93. Please. The conversion cost here is very high. There was a drop here, as you can see, $15.50. And here's the period from March 3rd to 8th, when I'm recording this. This is, in a few days I'll record this, either on the 9th or the 10th of March. 103 sales at $13 each. Here you go. Yes, there may be some ups and downs. We're still running a lot of test variations to really figure out where we can, dive deeper into certain auctions and pull out those cheaper sales. Why is this niche difficult? Because there are competitors, it's an auction, and you really have to fight for your place in the sun. So don't think that this is, look, the main difficulty is that, in reality, there are just too many offers. And these offers are made by those price aggregators like Amazon, if you can call it that. When you go to Amazon, it's basically a huge search engine in itself. We also have a selection of these products, and there are hundreds of other stores offering something similar or analogous, especially since, to achieve results in health or beauty, you could basically use all sorts of remedies, compresses, or folk methods. Right? So, there are 1,001 ways to meet the needs of the end user, right? And this also makes the supply greater than the demand for this product. Plus, you still have to create demand for this product. That's why I'm glad that we still managed to find a way around this situation. We didn't repeat in December the situation we had during Black Friday when we didn't get enough sales. And I think we're locking in this result right now. We're still going to keep growing steadily and deliver even better results for the client. Because I believe that the fact that the team knows how to properly use the reports provided by Google, understands correctly where we stand in the auction statistics, in which auctions, in which product categories, in which query categories, who our main competitor is, and in which cases, for example, Amazon becomes more active or some other competitor becomes more aggressive. So, basically, it's about understanding where you are in the auction, how to properly manage your products, and how we can outmaneuver a major advertiser. In fact, we managed to do that a little bit. I won't say that it happened in just a week. You know, let's be objective here. For example, if I look at the monthly numbers, look, I want to brag a little about the team's results. The month isn't over yet. After all, I'm recording this on March 10th, covering the period up to March 8th. So, why only up to March 8th? Because conversions are updated with a delay. Look, in just the first 8 days of March, we've already made 129 sales. For comparison, in November, we had 137 sales for the entire month. So, in November, during Black Friday, we really went all out. And at the same time, the cost per conversion is only a couple of bucks higher. Why is it more expensive? Because we're running test campaigns. Not all of these tests actually end up being successful, because marketing and working with performance, with AI, is all about trying to bring in new, similar traffic, getting into the analog auction, or trying to get into a competitor's auction that's close to yours, or testing out some narrower targeting methods. So basically, it's a whole set of different hypotheses that you're building, and that means refining feeds, optimizing feeds. In other words, it's working with, well, honestly, there's a lot of work being done here. It might seem like it's nothing, or just some random effort, but actually, I think that getting to 129 in 8 days is a great result, especially considering that November has been worse for us. Moreover, in all of December we had 241 sales for $15.83, but here, in just 8 days, we already have 129 sales for $13. I think this is a really great taste that shows that sometimes results aren't achieved by chance, or by discount periods, or by seasonality, but because the team sits down, comes up with ways to get around obstacles, finds options, figures out how to do things better, how to break into some auction. So actually, in most cases, when we analyze things properly, we don't just rely on auction statistics reports. Each of you has these reports for every test campaign. So that's the kind of taste I wanted to brag about as an example. Why am I not sharing all the details about how it was targeted? I believe that's the intellectual property of the team, including my own strategy development for ways to get around those really big advertisers. Well, basically, I'm not supposed to share that, right? Especially since my client's results depend on it. For every client, we try to maintain the highest level of confidentiality when it comes to their information. So that's the case, yeah, it's a bit of full-on bragging, but it's justified bragging in terms of showing real results, like the cost per conversion isn't just $1 or something like that. Here, for example, I'll take, this is the daily one actually. Look, this chart is just awesome, in my opinion. If I switch to monthly, you'll see that the line for cost per conversion is actually a bit higher in these intervals than it was here, right? You can see it. It's objectively visible. But we achieved an increase in cost per conversion not by doubling the cost per conversion, but rather by taking a slightly different approach, using different mechanics and algorithms. Just a reminder, this is the US market. The niche is extremely tough. It's really hard to promote. I wouldn't say this is a super easy story. It's actually really hard. Honestly, coming up with ideas, finding workarounds, figuring out what to feed the AI so it produces more and gets better results for less money, that's a real challenge. Most of the work is about analyzing, systematizing, and testing these hypotheses. That's the case here.